Some brands offer you low finance, or cashback, or servicing.
Renault don't do ors. We do ands. The Renault Kadjar with 1.91% APR and €1,000 cashback and 3 years servicing, saving you thousands. Renault, the brand with the ands. Visit your local Renault dealer. Finance is made under a hire purchase agreement. Terms and conditions apply. Deposit required subject to lending criteria. See Renault.ie.
And this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio! Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps. The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Do you feel as if you don't belong? Do you know you were meant for something more? Well, you were. Knowledge of who you are and where you really are from is within your reach. Join Janet Lesson and Dr. Sasha Lesson as they search for the answers as they open up the Stargate to the cosmos.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stargate to the Cosmos on Revolution Radio at revolution.radio. And I'm your host, Janet Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson, and my producer, Thomas Becker. And today we have a very special guest, Daniel Cooper. And I did not get a page up on Daniel. We had a last-minute switch out. Dr. Raymond Moody was going to be on, and he is not feeling well today, so he called up and he apologizes to everybody. We're going to reschedule for some time in, probably in January after he's feeling better. But he's looking forward to being here on Revolution Radio. He just apologizes for not being able to make it today. So before we bring on Daniel, who will tell us about himself, Dr. Sasha Lesson, are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Happy today.
Yes, we are here once again on Wonderful Revolution Radio. We're going to bring you Daniel Cooper. And I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to say Daniel and I have found each other recently, and he's going to tell you things that are going to blow your mind. And I know we do a lot of mind-boggling things here on Stargate to the Cosmos, but Daniel has, well, I'm going to let him say whatever he wants to say. Daniel, welcome to the show. And you can start by telling our listeners, if you will, please, a little bit about yourself. And then we can go into, two directions. We can go into your involvement in the secret space program, and then your new thing that you just did. I'll let you tell our listeners about it. Sorry for the mystery, but I think it'll unfold better that way. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hello. So let's see.
Hello.
There are two timelines, and in the secret space program, they have to keep the two timelines separate. The time that you spend in the program has to be kept separate from the time that you spend on this planet. And every planet has a time well, and so you can actually spend time in different time wells, different planets in different time sequences. My 20 and back period was from my age of 17 and a half. Well, you spend 20 years, then you come back, and then they drop you back off at 17 and a half again. But that would have started in 1969, and then I spent 20 years in the secret space program. So my 20 years in the secret space program were from 1969 to 1989, and that's when I spent most of my time on ship on different planets throughout this galaxy and the two adjoining galaxies. I didn't spend my time like a lot of the secret space program personnel that are able to talk to you. I didn't spend my time in this solar system. I spent all of my time out of this solar system, all of my service, my 20-year stint in the United States military. The secret space program people that I spent with were United States military. And not Navy, they were Air Force. Well, actually Japanese, but that's a long story. But as far as the timeline from 17 and a half, well, you're actually trained in the secret space program during the age of 2 to 17 and a half before you're taken into the program. So there's the training period, which would seem just, there's the daytime training, the nighttime training during the 17 and a half years. But then you come back, they drop you off, and they wipe your memory, and then you engage in the regular lifestyle, which I did. So I have my what I did while I was here on this planet, like regular other people. Now, in the secret space program, the genetically engineered people, I was one of the genetically engineered people. They're very careful only to give you a little bit extra, a little bit of extra intelligence, a little bit of extra strength, a little bit of extra speed. Not too much, because they don't want you to go what we call a con on anybody. They don't want you to come back to this timeline and then start to take over, which is what originally happened when they first started doing the genetic engineering program. The people would come back after they're 20, and then they'd want to take over this planet, and then they would have to kill them, and they didn't really like killing their super soldiers who had just spent 20 years serving them with distinction. So they kind of dumbed us down, and then they I'd say Randy Kramer's my favorite for discussing a lot of the super soldier information. He gives a very accurate super soldier information. Corey Good was an empath. I like him too. He gives a lot of very accurate information concerning super soldiers. Corey gives a lot more information as to the psionic training, which was very important in my particular branch of the super soldiers. I was with a very elite group called Dark Fleet. And anyway, so now I'm 65 now, but when I had for many years I had this desire to invent, and I was never able to do it until I retired. But now I am inventing, and I have just patented this Sunday a very important patent for free energy generators. They're basically trying to bring out the technologies that have been withheld, that are being withheld and have been withheld for 130 years. All of these high technologies were first discovered in 1862. They were developed in the early 20s. A lot of the stuff that is being used in the secret space program that you're just hearing about for the first time, and it all seems fictional. But the United States military has been using that technology ever since the early 20s. Anyway, go ahead, Janet. Is that too much?
Wow. No. Let me. I was taking notes and I put you on. I blocked off the mic, so when here we go. Click, click, click. Wow.
You just want an introduction. There's lots of details.
I know. Well, we're gonna deconstruct a lot of this because I wanted to go back to you said there's two time wells. You called them time wells.
Every planet has a time well. Every planet has a time well, and that was explained by Einstein in the 50s in both of his papers. The relativity, special relativity was his first paper. Then 10 years later, he wrote general relativity, and those are the basics of time travel theory. The idea that you can that every planet has its own time well, and so you can travel from one time well to another, and you can actually experience 20 years here, go to another planet, and experience 20 years there, go back 20 years. But anyway, so they took me at 17 and a half into the program, meaning that's when the training ended and I had to engage as a super soldier and go on ship and travel throughout the galaxy to perform my service. But then I spent 20 years in the service, and then they bring you back, regress you in time, right back to within the minute that they took you, and they drop you off again at 17 and a half with a like Randy Kramer explained, they drop you off in a cloned body, which is dumbed down. They take a lot of your abilities away. They don't want you to come back with those abilities.
Okay, so they dropped you off at a clone body back on Earth. So are you in a clone body right now?
Yes. That's okay. That's the clone return. The body that's returned for the super soldiers is a cloned body. It's a dumbed down it's the same person that you were when you're 17 and a half. They clone you when you're 17. When they take you, they clone you. And then that clone is what that comes back. Of course, your soul is put into the clone. It's the same person. It's just that you don't get the body that you had when you were a super soldier. So you don't get any of the experiences. You don't have any of the abilities that you had when you were a super soldier that were trained. When you're a super soldier, when they take you at 17 and a half, you continue your training for those 20 years. You're always training. You're either training or you're in combat. There's no in between. You're either training when you get up from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, or you're in combat. There's no in betweens. So all that training makes you very powerful, and they don't want that body coming back here. So the body they put your soul back into the clone that they made of you when you were 17 and a half. So you don't have the
abilities. And is that clone? Where is that clone while you're?
Those clones are on the ship. Those clones are on the ship. They clone you on the ship.
Okay, Sasha has a question. He's jumping out of his seat. Go ahead.
I'm not jumping out of my seat.
No, I'm just joking.
Still, what I would like to know, certainly you could tell whether to sell short or buy certain commodities if you had that much of a range. Have you ever been able to use the information you had because you were in a different time to make it work for you in this time zone?
No. They not only wipe your mind, they monitor you. They have agents that monitor you regularly to make sure that you don't remember anything. And if you do remember anything, they wipe your mind again.
Oh.
The only reason I'm able to remember some things now is because once I engaged as a physicist and started to actually discover free energy, actually invent free energy generators, then I started to realize from that knowledge that a lot of what was being discussed by Janet and you was real. And then some of my memories started coming back, and the secret space program personnel decided not to wipe those memories. I don't know why. I suspect that it's part of the disclosure that we are in a transition we are in a transition now that the technology is going to be released, but not to the level you're thinking. I can tell you what the level is that's going to be released.
Okay, so what level? What level are they going to let?
Free energy. They're going to allow free energy generators, but they're not going to allow the 6 or 7 forces. I'll have to explain. I will explain what the 6 and 7 forces is over time. You're going to have me come back, so there's a lot of information to present. Yeah. The 6th force is basically the first anti-gravity technique. The first warp 1 engine is a 6 force engine, and it repels gravity the way magnets repel each other. But it repels gravity at the speed of light, and that's why it's the first warp 1 engine uses the 6th force. But the 6th force is used for many things, not just anti-gravity. And it's only a warp 1 engine. It's not a warp 10 engine. By the way, warp 9.9 or 9.8 is the fastest you can go. So when we say warp 10, we really mean warp 9.8. But the warp 9.8.
So that's kind of Star Trek.
Star Trek's real. One of the people from the secret space program told me, one of the physicists from the secret space program, they actually talk to me now, some of them. One of them told me that Star Trek was actually devised by them as a soft disclosure, and it was also a test. They wanted to see how many people actually believed it. And they told me that, and I said, what was the results of the test? And he said, this particular agent, he said, only 13%. And I said, 13%? You mean 13% of the population of the world believed Star Trek was real? He said, yeah. And he said, and you thought that was a poor showing? They were very disappointed. They were very disappointed. They actually thought that 80% of the population were going to be totally convinced that Star Trek was real. And they were very disappointed that only 13%. I said, 13%? Really? I mean, that's huge. That's a lot of people.
Well, you know, I'm a Trekkie.
In other words, Star Trek polling. It was a survey.
Right. And they said Star Trek. But see, I'm a Trekkie, and I've been one since I was 12 years old. You're talking about, what was that, September 9th, 1966?
Yeah. Replicators are real. Tom DeLonge is telling you that Lockheed Martin showed him replicator technology, and they did. It's real.
Right.
I can tell you how it works. Tom can't. I can.
Well, we're going to go into that in great depth but I'm one of the 13% that really knew that was real.
Yes.
And the reason I knew is because I was experiencing.
You know who actually created the first transporter and when? 1901, Nikola Tesla.
Okay.
He transported a gorilla. There were pictures of it on the internet for years.
Yeah, they've taken a lot down.
Especially since I pointed out that was there. They took it down. You know, they take a lot of stuff down when I point it out. But that's okay. They leave a lot of stuff up too.
Okay.
Like Nikola Tesla's 1927 patent of the first 6 force warp 1 engine. That's there, still in the patent library. You can pull it down. I'll give you the numbers. You can pull it down.
Okay, we're going to get all this stuff. Yes. So, wow. Okay, so Star Trek was real.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of us Trekkies knew it was real. And then a few years ago, it came out the story that he was actually... So he was in the loop. Was he given the information?
Bill? No. The actors? No. They were never...
No. I'm talking about Roddenberry.
No, Roddenberry. Yeah, Roddenberry was definitely. Yeah, he was absolutely secret space program. Absolutely. So was Asimov and all those.
Asimov and Heinlein.
Yeah, all the time.
I was there. I was there with J. Allen Hynek, Asimov, Heinlein, and Roddenberry at the early conferences.
Right.
In the 1970s.
Yeah, they commissioned. The secret space program commissioned Roddenberry to do that. That was all their program in order to basically. They were doing several things. They were educating people, but they were also trying to see, just how many people. It was a survey. They really wanted to see how many people believed it was real.
Well, how can you believe when they're telling you it's science fiction? So that was part of the thing. So they didn't really want us to believe, or they would just say, this is based on reality.
I don't know. They do some they've done some really, really strange things. We'll go over all that, I suppose.
Right. In 1975, though, there were 20,000 people at the conference, and they had somebody had bootlegged an additional 20,000 tickets. So there were 40,000 people that converged upon the hotel and all tried to get in.
Yeah. So 13% of the population.
That's a huge part.
13% of the population is almost 1 billion people.
Right.
Okay. A lot of people believe it's real. Believing it's real and actually seeing real evidence, testimonial evidence is real. It is real evidence in law, but it's not the kind of evidence that people really want. They want stuff you can touch and hold and see and really experience personally, and that kind of evidence we call first class, first hand. The highest level of evidence. That's what people really want, and that is still being kept a secret. The only things that are being revealed now are free energy. That's the secret space program is revealing free energy, real evidence of it, and they are actually coming out with peer-reviewed, absolutely scientifically backed. They're top scientists saying, yeah, it's real. Here it is, and so that's starting to come out. From that disclosure, it looks like they're going to disclose the technology before they're going to disclose the existence of aliens. But didn't NASA just no, they took that back. They just authenticated that billion-year spacecraft that was coming through our solar system.
Oh,
one of the ancient spacecraft. They authenticated it, and then they pulled it back. But they didn't pull back the peer review of the M drive. So they are continuing to authenticate and disclose, with absolute proof, real scientific proof and real scientists saying, yeah, this is real. They are doing that now. So this I know for certain. Plus, I have the evidence to give you from my own.
Okay. So there's a lot of questions. Sasha, do you have a question before I go back to me? Because I like to go back and forth to give both a chance to ask questions.
You're doing fine, proceed.
So this I'm very excited because, like I said, I was there and I knew it was real. Of course, you couldn't really say much to anybody because they would, ridicule you.
It's
but
not.
I knew it was real because
it's not really too hard. It's not really too hard to prove. I mean, you're talking about billions of galaxies, and galaxies is a huge place. Billions of galaxies with billions of stars in each galaxy, with thousands of inhabitable stars. Thousands of inhabitable planets inside of each galaxy. We're talking about, on average, 3,000 habitable, meaning we can live on, planets within each galaxy, and there are billions of galaxies. And you're going to try to tell me we're the only sentient species in the universe? Sorry, I'm not buying that.
Right. Well, I didn't buy that either. But that was what the norm was, and if you went against the norm.
Yes, the Draco are very enamoring. It's very much like being enamored. They enamored the population.
So let's go into that a little bit. So, who are the characters in play? What species are we dealing with? How long has this secret space program been going on?
There are the secret space program. Okay, the United States went to Mars in a joint mission with the Nazis in 1934. That's when the Nazis first brought them in. That's when they were trying to make the original treaty. Of course, that just lit up the United States, and then they went to war. You remember the Battle of Los Angeles, where we fired 2,090 millimeter cannons into their spaceship? That was the Nazi spaceship. And they basically, that was after we bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm sorry. That was after the Japanese came into the conflict, and then we declared war on the Japanese after Pearl Harbor in February. The Nazis flew their spaceship over L.A. just to basically say, you can't touch us, you can't touch this, you don't have anything like it, we can sit here for 2 hours and you can't touch it. And but that just made that just pissed off the United States even more, and they continued the war. But we did finally surrender to the Nazis in 1957. There was a truce in 52 that was signed, and then the final treaty was signed in 57. But the joint mission to Mars was really they were trying to schmooze up to the United States by bringing them along and showing them what they had. It just pissed them off. And the funniest thing about it was Tesla. It was Tesla that gave them the technology. Tesla put up the 6-Force technology, his Warp 1 spacecraft for sale in 1927. He said, "Hey, here's my Warp 1 engine spacecraft, and it's for sale for $2 million to anybody buying." And nobody wanted to buy it. The United States didn't want it. Westinghouse didn't want it. Oh no, we can't do that. We can't put a meter on that. The Westinghouse didn't want it.
Wow.
So the Nazis were like, "Hey, yeah, come over here. We'll take that. Sure, $2 million, no problem."
So, wait, this is funny. Okay, so what happened you're saying in 34, they had a joint mission to Mars. And
34, the Nazis took the United States to Mars, the Hannibal 3. That was the name of the spacecraft they took the United States to Mars in.
What was it called?
The Hannibal 3. Hannibal, Hanabee 3, Roman numeral 3, meaning the third one of its vintage. The third. The
Hannibal 3.
Hannibal 3. They took the United States to Mars in 1934. They went to Mars in 1929. Tesla gave them the plans in 1927. They bought it from him. He sold it to them in 20.
Wow.
I can show you the patents. They're in the patent library.
Okay, we'll get all this stuff. So, did Tesla sell it to them for $2 million?
Yep. He put up his Warp 1 engine for sale for $2 million, and nobody wanted it. He tried to sell it to the United States, and they didn't. They said, "Just give it to us. We don't want to pay for that."
Wow.
No, I want $2 million. You've been robbing me for years. Now I want some money. Oh, no.
So he got some money at last.
We want to continue taking your inventions and not paying you, Mr. Tesla. Oh, okay. I'll go find another buyer.
So he did.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Okay. And so they went in 34. So you're saying they wanted to impress
the Nazis went
Americans.
in 29. They took the United States in 34 because they were trying to make a treaty with
34.
them. They were trying to make a treaty with the United States in 34, but the United States didn't go for it. It just pissed them off. Taking them to Mars. It just pissed them off.
And why wouldn't they go for it? It was this superior technology.
Make a treaty with the communists? You do know the Nazis are socialists, right?
Nazis.
Yeah.
Right.
National Socialist Party? Aryan
right.
Okay. All right. So they weren't about to make a treaty with the communists. Those commies? They were going to make a treaty with those commies? No way.
So they went to war instead.
Yes.
Okay. So then what was behind the bombing?
Which the bombing, you mean the Japanese coming into the war?
Yeah, the Pearl Harbor. What was behind that?
Well, the Japanese were assured Hawaii by the Nazis. The Nazis. That was part of the agreement that they made when the Japanese allied with Nazi Germany. Part of the agreement was that they would get Hawaii, and the Nazis said, "You take it, you can have it."
Okay. Sasha, you got to have some questions.
You do know that they own 90% of Hawaii now, right?
Who owns it? Japanese? Yeah, well, America just sells things to people. Whoever has money. Here, you want to buy it? They're not
right. Yeah, but it's all part of the Treaty of 57. Part of the Treaty of 57 is that Japan would get Hawaii, basically that it would be sold to them.
Okay, so I'm living in a Japanese colony. Okay.
Yeah, it's not so bad. I've lived in Hawaii. They're nice people.
Yeah, I
they didn't really change much.
Right. So we have the public game, and then we have this behind-the-scenes game, and So let's get into that this first hour a little bit more.
But the Japanese
you're
not too happy with the Nazis because all that technology they never passed on to the Japanese. The Japanese aren't happy with the Nazis. They haven't been happy with the Nazis for a long time. They are definitely not happy with the fact that the Nazis made a deal with China. Anyway, go ahead.
So the Nazis.
But you have to understand that the United States and the Nazis morphed. It changed. It's no longer Nazi Germany. It's no longer. They morphed into the interplanetary corporate conglomerate.
It changed. Write this down.
Interplanetary corporate conglomerate. The ICC. We don't say the Nazis anymore. We say the ICC. It's different now. Yeah, it's completely different.
Okay.
An animal now. They have all the technology.
We're a part of that because the Nazis really didn't lose. They made a treaty
in 1957 with the United States, and then that morphed. That the United States Nazis morphed into the ICC. So it's really one group now. It is the Nazis and the United States, and it is the United States. And that's the interplanetary corporate conglomerate. Just like Corey was explaining to you, Lockheed Martin, right. Northrop Grumman, Hughes, Raytheon. Those are the people who have the technology. Those are the people that rule the world. Well, in this and many other worlds, they own planets, and a lot of them. The United States owns planets. We own planets outright. Like over 26 of them throughout this galaxy. Own them outright. We own the whole planet.
26 throughout the galaxy.
26 throughout this galaxy.
Solar system. Throughout this galaxy.
This galaxy. Yeah, we got these guys, these ICC, they go out and they buy planets and moons and stuff like that. It's all big. A lot of people are into business, meaning of the 3,000 sentient aliens in this galaxy, and 900 of them we deal with. We have embassies in their solar systems, and we deal with them regularly.
So how do you know all this stuff? I
don't have personal knowledge of all these things, but I know for sure what Corey's telling you and what Randy is telling you are true. But not everything they're telling you is true, but most of what they're telling you is true. Because I have intimate knowledge of some of those things. That's how I know what they're saying is true and correct.
Okay.
Because I have some memories of my experience. Now, I wasn't given, like Randy was actually given back most of his memories. And the same thing with Corey. He was given back most of his memories because they wanted some of their people who were in the program and served with distinction, like Randy and Corey did, in different capacities. They want them to actually, tell people about their experiences. It's soft disclosure. It's soft disclosure. They've been in the soft disclosure for many years now. That's what Star Trek was, soft disclosure.
It's all soft disclosure. Okay.
Except now they're actually releasing the technology. That's what's different. That's what changed in November of 2017. They all changed.
What happened
now releasing the technology? I'm sorry, say it again.
Okay, that's why I was asking. What happened in November 2017? So they're now releasing
in November of 2017. They released NASA's peer review of the M drive, and they also released two. They also allowed the manufacture and distribution of over Unity free energy generators, and they're being distributed in 10 different countries now. Those are buoyancy kinetic generators done by. Originally, it was. It's Roche now that's doing it. It was Gaia Energy that started it, and then they sold it to Roche. And so Roche is now selling the buoyancy generators in 10 different countries, not in the United States. In the United States, we went a little different direction, and that's run by the Koch brothers. And they are doing what's known as the flywheel generators. And that's also a 4-to-1 ratio over Unity generator. They do the flywheel generators, and that's being done by Beacon Power. Beaconpower.com is their company, and they build grid-size flywheel over Unity generators, which produce 3 times more electricity than it takes to run them. It's when they say 400% efficiency, that pretty much tells you what's going on, right? You know how you determine efficiency, right? Efficiency of a generator is is output divided by input. And so if the efficiency of your generator is 400%, you go on beacon power site and say our generators are 400% efficient. You know it's producing 3 times more electricity than it takes to run it.
So how will that affect
us?
us?
They are already producing these things. They're already out there.
Will that get us off of fossil fuels?
Yes.
Like here in Hawaii and Maui, they ship over oil to burn in our
Yes, except that the personnel in the program, the scientists, some of the scientists do talk to me, and they told me that the flywheel generator it's too expensive. It's not what they had hoped for, and they were wondering, how far I was coming, and I go, well, I'm coming along pretty good. And my generator will. Even the initial ones will bring electricity down to 1/10 of a penny per kilowatt hour. What are you paying per kilowatt hour? 20 cents a kilowatt hour?
I could pull that out. I just got that.
What do you pay per kilowatt hour?
I have it right here. I'll tell you. Let's see. Kilowatt hour. I have to do the math. My bill was crazy. I had. Last month, my bill was for $750.
Yeah, that's just electricity. You're not counting gas. You don't understand. Our generators provide all of the electricity for your house and all of its power. Everything, gas, electric, everything.
Am I allowed to set that up?
So what was your gas bill? Count your gas bill and your electric bill together for the month.
Well, I don't have gas. I did at one point have gas, but I'm just pure. My house is pure.
And that was $700 for this month, right?
Yeah, about $750.
How much per kilowatt hour? 26 cents per kilowatt hour?
It says kilowatt hour per day is $38.84, and I had 1,243 kilowatt hours. So you have to do the math.
Well, I'm not really doing that, but that's okay.
I know, and that was for 32 days. They counted.
It should be like 20 to 25 cents per kilowatt hour. Imagine 1/10 of a penny per kilowatt hour for everything.
All right, but are they going to let me have that? Can I buy?
Yes, everybody's going to have that within. It should be 5 years. Everybody will have that in the United States.
Okay.
I imagine they wanted to start doing it in other countries because they are really concerned about third world countries, and they're trying to bring. They want me to make a grid size generator for third world countries, specifically Africa, and the Arab countries. The Arabs are kind of making this deal. The OPEC's like, hey, wait a second. You mean you're not going to buy our our oil anymore? And they're like, well, no.
Right.
No, we're not going to. They're like, well, hey, we have a problem with that because, we're in trouble here. We don't have any water. So the two things they want is they want these grid size free energy generators, and they want a desalination system. Large scale desalination system, way bigger than you can imagine. They want 200 to 300 million acre feet a year. You have no idea how much water that is. That's huge. And they asked me to do that. That's like my second big project that I've been working on, and I succeeded at it. But that was a lot more work.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, they want.
Good. So how's this going to affect our green?
And they said, we're trying to make peace with the Arabs, and we don't want anybody to go to war, and so so we need to give them these two things. I said, okay, no problem.
Okay.
And Africa, they're really into bringing these generators out for Africa. Anyway, I'm just telling you.
So how long is that going to take to get into place and turn us around?
Well, if they start pumping money into it, it would only take 2 years to start to actually complete these grid generators if they really move as fast as if they put the money into it, they could do it in 2 years, but no later than 5. They'd have these grid size generators all over the world. Do you know what a grid size generator is? A generator from 300 megawatts to 900 megawatts. These are huge generators. I mean, they produce a lot of electricity. They go on the grid. You don't see.
Right.
Yeah, they want grid size generators because they can destroy them easier. They can hide them easier. They can protect them easier. They can't be moved easily. That's why they want to start with the grid size. They want to start with the big ones.
Are you making those?
No,
Have you
that was
figured those out?
my patent. My patent this
That's your
Sunday
patent.
is not on the grid size. My next patent is on the grid size. This patent was on the smaller scale one, but it's a premise of my grid size generator, and I'm patenting components. There are so many different components in the generator itself. You actually have to patent each component and the generator. And what's interesting is that when you're thinking of magnetic energy powered electricity generators, you have to realize that magnetic energy can be an engine, it can be a motor, or it can be a generator. It doesn't just produce electricity. You can make one that'll run your car. And by the way, these things run for 30 years. They don't move. They have no moving parts. They're solid state. They have no moving parts, and they operate for 30 years nonstop.
Okay.
They don't require any fuel. You don't recharge them. You just keep kicking out electricity. Or if it's a motor, it'll keep driving your car or your truck or whatever. And they're not very expensive to build once you start building them in a large scale.
So we're going to be able to swap out our engines in our cars and go
right.
To the
Exactly. One of the things they asked me is they said, "Well, can I actually just take my car engine and swap it out?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I showed them, "Yeah, sure. This is how you swap out the engine. You actually swap it out for a magnetic powered engine it's a piston engine. It's a piston engine, but it's a solenoid pistons. I don't know if you know what a solenoid is.
I've heard solenoid.
A solenoid is it's a piston, but it's magnetic. It's a magnetic pushed piston. It's not gas. It's not a gas explosion pushed piston.
Right.
Yeah, but when you have free energy, magnetic energy, yes, it's easy to make a 8-cylinder piston. I'll actually send you some of that stuff so you can show these people. I'll send you all that stuff so you can show these people.
Excellent. Oh, good.
I'll show you an 8-cylinder solenoid piston engine. And we can simply swap out your gas engine and you swap in a piston engine. It looks just like it. Just the same size, same weight and everything. Fits in right, the bolt pattern and everything. You just swap it out. Easy. More powerful, much more powerful than your gas engine. Much more powerful.
Wow. So this is
of course,
all
when
coming
we're swapping it out,
next...
we have to keep it the same power because everything else in the car, everything else in the car that we're swapping it into, it wouldn't work right if you don't keep it the same power. Everything has
same power, right?
Yeah, you're swapping an engine, magnetic engine, in for a gas engine has to have the same power. So it would be like
you can find new ones.
You wouldn't notice any difference, except that
right.
You'd never have to go to the gas. And gas, you don't got to fill it up with gas anymore. Might cost you about. I'm trying to get it down to about $2,000 for a swap. You go to the shop and you pay $2,000, and they take your gas engine out, they take your gas tank out, and all your gas fixtures and everything, and they put in these magnetic engines, and you drive away. Now you never have to go fill up gas anymore. Ever.
So do you think they'll have this by what? 2020?
They'll have those engines in 5 to 10 years. We'll have those swap outs within 5 to 10 years. You asked me originally about generators. Generators, they want the grid size generators first, and then they want the desalination. They really, really are really into desalination because everybody's starving for water all over the world, and they're really into desalination, and they want large scale, real time desalination. And we're not talking about reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is sucking water through a filter, and it's a very slow way of producing fresh water, drinkable water. No, the fastest way to produce drinkable water is to dissociate, to separate the molecules of the water out into all of its independent molecules. You split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, basically. And everything in it gets split out into its separate components. But the trick is, of course, that's tricky all by itself. But the trick is putting it back together. You got to take the oxygen and hydrogen and put it back together into water. That's the trick. That's the one that's really baffled a lot of people. And also being able to disassociate in large scale. It's called plasma gasification. And the person that perfected that and actually has... The guy, he started Plasma Westinghouse division, and let's see, that was Sham Dehay, Dr. Sham Dehay. Well, he's a great guy. You'll love him. He stayed with it. He made over $1 billion doing that for Westinghouse, And they disassociate trash, and it's over unity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all over the world, Westinghouse Plasma has produced 50 megawatt generators. They take trash and they disassociate it, and they produce 50 megawatts of power. And they have these plants all over the world. Those were actually the first real over unity generation systems, but it's all very expensive, and they really are more interested in disassociating seawater and then putting it back together to drinking water. And Sean wasn't able to do that. He couldn't pull it off. It's a lot more complicated.
So I was on Johnson Atoll from 1995 to 97.
You lived on an atoll? You lived on an atoll?
I was on Johnston. I lived on Johnston Atoll. Yes.
Oh my.
Yes. I was on a military base, and they had desalination. That was what they used because there was no.
That's compressed condensation. Sham's into that now, and he actually has the best facilities in the world for desalination right now. He has the very best process right now. In fact, in the interim, we're going to have to use his process, powered with my generator.
So what did they have in 1995? I mean, what were they using back then on Johnson Atoll?
On Johnson, it was condensation. They boil the water, and then it separates into a vapor, and then it condenses on the top, and the condensation has no salt in it.
Ah, okay.
And then that drips down to the sides, and they siphon it off. And in fact, compressed condensation is the preferred technique, and that's being done by Aqua Technologies. I think that's who Sham Dihay's knew. Sham left Westinghouse Plasma and started Aqua Technology, and he has the most advanced. And he has a full-blown plant built out in Pennsylvania for demonstration. That's actually going to be the transition desalination system before plasma gasification system comes out. They're simply going to take a free energy generator and power his plants, because they got to get the Arabs. They got to give the Arabs water right away, or they're going to get all upset. What do you mean we got to give up? We can't sell oil. But what are we going to do? Well, you can be farmers.
Right. So how
farmers? There's no water out here.
Oh, so they're going to farm. Okay.
Well, you understand what do you use oil for? What are the two things oil is used for? Well, besides making plastic. Besides making plastic, it's used for fertilizer.
Fertilizer. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're sitting there saying, "Well, you can make fertilizer," and they're like, "Well, yeah, and who's going to use it?" Anyway,
you guys are going to be farmers. Okay, they'll be the breadbasket.
Well, they're saying, "Well, yeah, and where are we going to get the water?" So the United States is promising them all the water they want. They said, "Well, we want a lot of water."
All right. Wow, that sounds good. Okay, Sasha probably has a question too, and a mad painter, Thomas Becker. If you want to ask questions, I know he was excited.
Becker has a question.
Yeah, Thomas, you want to ask a question? Are you there?
Yeah, it takes me a minute to get to the mute button.
Unmute. Okay, yeah. Do you have a question?
How big are these plants for desalinating the water? Are they huge, or is it a small?
Sham Dihay's compressed condensation plant takes up 5 acres, and it produces 250,000 gallons a minute, which is pretty good, but it's not good. It's not good enough. Plasma gasification uses a fraction of that area. But nobody's ever built a large-scale plasma gasification plant because it takes too much energy. That's why you got to have grid-sized free energy generators before you can even think about making a huge plasma gasification plant. But they're not very big. They're like a quarter of an acre. They're nothing for 10 million acre feet a year of water. You only need a quarter acre size plant. It doesn't take up much area. People are like, I mean, it's hard to fathom, but you have to understand it's you know what plasma is. Think of a spark plug, and that spark is a plasma arc. But if you throw water into that arc, it disassociates. It doesn't burn. It separates into hydrogen and oxygen, and everything else that was in it. Everything is in seawater, so everything gets separated out when you throw it through a ball of plasma. You disassociate everything, but of course you got to put it back together too. Everything solid comes out molten. Everything, a lot of the stuff comes out gas. You know, you got to process all that stuff. Anyway, what else you want to know?
Sasha, what do you want to ask? And then it'll go back to me.
Yeah, I was interested in the ISS bases that you
ICC,
observed.
Interplanetary Corporate
ICC.
Conglomerate, the ICC. Anyway, what do you want to know about that? 900 embassies throughout the galaxy.
And also the Nazis, what Penny Bradley and others have told us is that there's slave bases. There are people that can't get out, that have to follow orders, that are kidnapped, that there are people
Everybody in the secret space program is you're in the service, you're in the military, and you can't get out. You when you go into you do your 20-year stint, it's like a kid in the military. You get in the military service, you sign up for 4 years, and after your 11th week after boot camp, you go, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, guess what? When you sign into the secret space program, you're in for 20, and you don't get to come back.
Did you sign in?
No. See, I was a genetically engineered super soldier.
Okay. Well, then
that's a very different program. That's a very different program. You don't have a choice. As far as they're concerned, they manufactured you. They own you. Now, of course, they convince you when you're 17 and a half. They convince you. You're basically convinced that this is what you want to do. You're trained from the age of 2 to serve as a super soldier, and that's all you study and learn how to do is how to fight, and you get really good at it, and you want to go out and do that, and they're going to let you go out and do that throughout the galaxy. It's like, yeah, okay, I want to be Top Gun, sure. You understand?
Yeah, but what we're talking about is also, people have told us that they were kidnapped and forced to do all kinds of things, not just be soldiers.
That's all been done. That's all true. So what do you want to know? What do you want to know about it?
Well,
how do you stop the ICC from doing slavery? Is that what you want to know?
I want to know what is this what our taxes are paying for?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Well, what the fuck do we do?
All the drug money, 50% of all the drug money, all the cartels, all the gangs, are all belong to the ICC. They're all allowed to exist to do their dirty work and to go collecting money for them. 50% of all drug money goes into the ICC, into the secret space program. 50% of all criminal activities money goes into the secret space program. That's why crime is allowed to be there.
Wow.
That's why criminal gangs are allowed to exist. We all know who the criminals are. We can arrest them anytime we want. We don't. Because they do the ICC's dirty work.
Right. So they're in charge of our planet. So what's this political game that's going on? Does that really matter?
The show? The big
calling
show?
Himself president?
You mean the movie?
The big show. You tell us about the movie we're watching.
The illusion that you have some control and some power? You mean that show?
Yeah.
The big show?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, tell us. Let's tell our people about this. Tell us about the show. We're going to come up with a course in 3 minutes.
You're all being enamored. You're all being enamored in it's the illusion. They're giving the illusion that you have some control and that there's no such thing as a secret space program and there's no such thing as aliens and the highest technology is nuclear power plants and we can't get off of gas because we don't know any better, and it's all a big illusion. It's all politics, all a big show. Politicians.
Are there any good aliens out there?
Two
like
political
Star
parties
Trek
that have the same views and do the same things. Say different things, but always do the same things. You seriously believe there's political parties?
All right. So that's come out. That's disclosure. That's what I've been saying. Everybody gets all upset. They go,
how many presidents have told you? How many presidents have told you that every time we get elected as president, first thing we want to do is find out if aliens are real, and they tell us if we don't shut up, they'll kill us. Come on, what did Hillary Clinton tell you? She said, no, I can't tell you that. They'll kill my husband. Well, that was real. That really happened. They don't let the politicians. The politicians are lackeys. They do their bidding, the ICC's bidding. They don't even show them the technology. They definitely don't tell them about it.
So is there, anyway, we're going to run out of time in 2 minutes. So is there any hope? Do we have anybody out there that gives a damn about humanity? Are we just
I'm sorry.
doomed to this stuff?
No, we're not doomed. I'm sorry. No, we're not doomed. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't have, I wouldn't have come back. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be inventing free energy generators if I thought we were doomed. Okay. So we'll go into that after the break. We're going to say that. So we get a break? How much time? How much time?
Well, we'll have we have about a minute and a half before the break.
Okay, that's enough for me to take my
3 or 4 minute break. So
I'll see you in a minute and a half.
Wait, we're not there yet. We have another minute. I'm just leaving a teaser for our people.
Be right back.
Wait, we're not on the break yet. I'm sorry. So after the break, we're going to talk about the good side of the force. But just everybody take that in. Realize that I get into these battles on Facebook about you got to blame this one for that one. I go, no, they're both the same. They're two sides of the same coin, and they're playing us. We're a bunch of fools. We're a bunch of idiots. We believe this is the divide and conquer game, and they do it down all the way to our religions and our political systems and our countries. Sasha, what would you like to say about that?
It's a kleptocracy. It's government. The function of government is stealing. And it's obvious that it's just like the medical profession. They're always going to find the cure for cancer. If you just give them a little bit more money, they're on the verge of it. They didn't quite make it yet. Give us more.
Put a knuckle in the drum. All right, we'll be right back in 5.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
In breaking news, a visiting Syrian diplomat reported today that their population is evolving rapidly and advancing into a fifth-dimensional consciousness. They are seeking peace with all cosmic cultures, which may mean that the Earth will be asked to join the prestigious Galactic Federation of Light Alliances. Please join Debbie West and Michael Hathaway on Lost Knowledge, Saturdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Studio A, for the latest breaking news on the Star Visitors' peaceful contact and the ongoing project of cleansing the Earth.
Who are you? I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you. Why am I here? You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision, which has led you inexorably here. You haven't answered my question. The Matrix is older than you know. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equation. Choice. The problem is choice.
Right here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Be here Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Private Eye Matrix Revealed with Monique Lassonde.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically autonomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday at 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free, but there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Collision Course is back. Schedule B on Revolution Radio every Saturday night, 6 to 8 p.m. You get outer space. You get honest answers, real researchers, truthful answers, and a place to engage with questions. Take part in the discussion. Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com hosts Collision Course every Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
There you go.
Aloha and welcome back to Stargate to the Cosmos on Revolution.radio and Revolution.radio, and I am your host, Janet Kira Lesson, with Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson, and Thomas Becker, Mad Painter, is our producer, and we have Daniel Cooper, and we have a blow your mind episode. My mind's blown, and I'm so excited. But before we get back to part 2, where we're going to go to the light side of the Force, I want to remind everybody to please go over to that donation button on revolution.radio and make your donation this week, because we really rely on your donations in order to bring these shows to you like ours, so you can learn what's going on. Learn about what's going on in this planet, in this world, in this solar system, in this galaxy. So, Thomas Becker, how are we doing with our fundraising?
We got
It's
1290. We got 1293, and we need 2850. So.
Alrighty. So
halfway there, almost halfway through the month.
Okay, so put a nickel in the drum. Okay, so Sasha, what would you like to say before we bring back Daniel Cooper?
So what we were looking at last time is how the international or intergalactic corporate conglomerate basically is a criminal gang that runs all the sub-criminal gangs that kill and enslave people in various overt and covert ways. And it was so, felt so overwhelming. But the last thing that Daniel said is, but I have hope. And that's what I want to hear is, how come you got hope?
Okay, we're going to get to the hope, Daniel, but I want to backtrack a little bit more about how is this galaxy, I guess, does it go to the whole universe? How is it organized? You said that we have, I don't know, I've lost the stats. Thousands of species.
3,000 sentient species in this. 3,000 sentient star-faring, meaning they have warp
star-faring species.
They can travel around the galaxy in warp 1 ships or greater. Star-faring, 3,000 star-faring species.
Do they have
in this galaxy? But only 900. Only 900 of them talk to us. The others don't like us. They don't want to talk to us.
They want to do with us.
2,100 don't want to talk to us. They just don't want to be left alone. They're isolationists. They're more advanced technologically, and they don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be contaminated by lower species. Remember, we're the new we are the new star-faring species on the block. We are so new. I mean, all the other sentient races in our galaxy they've been traveling in the stars for millions of years. We just started in the 20s. I mean, just a few years ago.
And they have trade going on.
Yes, we trade.
Randy Kramer.
We trade with 900 species. Everybody likes to do business. Yes.
Because Randy Kramer was at our Stargate to the Cosmos conference in October, and I sat beside him on a panel, and he was explaining all this to everybody. Now, I had been to a meeting, and they were very specific in what they were revealing to me, and there were 100,000 unique species. So that must be more of a universal meeting.
That's galactic.
Instead of the galaxy.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's outside the galactic. That's universal, right?
Okay. So I got to go to one of those. They said I'd been
There's a difference between star-faring and primitive. Primitive means you can't go traveling around from star to star because you don't even have warp 1. You got a rocket ship. You can barely get to your moon. Okay, that's primitive, as Mickey Okaka would say. That's zero.
If I may,
zero level of advancement. Level 1 is warp 1. And that's star-faring. Okay. So when he's talking about 100,000 different species throughout the universe, the known galaxies, he's talking about star-faring species that can travel from star to star, solar system to solar system.
Janet, may I?
With this tech, Sasha, you asked a question, and I have a question about level 1 and level 0. Go ahead.
This is not just a question. I'm what's called an anthropologist. And the people that you're alluding to as a primitive, as though there's something lesser about persons who belong to who are not skyfaring.
Starfaring.
I think starfaring is a big mistake because when you really get down into even on our planet with people that you might call primitive because they don't have rocket ships or space travel. They're very sophisticated in their own way, and they're more. Sometimes there's have they're more into the sacred, and they are evolved. It's a mistake.
No, now you're getting into spirituality, and that's completely different. You can be primitive and extremely spiritual and advanced. Very, very different. We're talking about technology, which is something different. The 100,000 species that Corey or Randy are mentioning, we're talking about the technological advancement, star-faring species. A primitive species can be very spiritually advanced, much more spiritually advanced than any technological species. I'm very aware of that, Sasha.
Okay,
good.
Cool.
Now, is there a rating for those species that are both technologically advanced and spiritually sophisticated, or perhaps beyond spirituality, maybe their societal systems are kinder? Is there another rating?
Probably the most spiritually advanced species that you would associate with the technology would be the spear beings, the 5 spear being species. And that's because God definitely doesn't allow anything but spiritually advanced species to have the 8th force, the most highest energy force in the universe. So he has those, the Lord, could be a she, depends on, your perception.
The
Lord allows the most advanced technologically and spiritual species, spiritually advanced as well, to administer the 8th force. And that's the spear beings. They are pure spirit. They don't have material corporal bodies. So they don't enjoy the material world. They're not attached to the material senses. So they don't need material form anymore because they're above it. You can't.
Right, they're not corporeal.
Unless you're above material attachments and material desires, and you wouldn't want to be in non-corporeal form.
Right.
It would drive you nuts because you can't. There's nothing you can't enjoy the material things without a corporeal form.
But aren't they able to manifest a form? I mean, if they're not corporeal and they show up as blue avians, they're manifesting. That's what I learned at one point.
The blue avians, that's their holographic image that they present for corporeal species to relate to them. But they are pure spirit. I mean, they're pure energy. They're pure spirit, not energy, but pure spirit. They have no corporeal and no energy aspect to them. They travel in their pure form. They actually travel in their ships which are 8th force ships, which is an energy form. The 8th force is the highest energy form that there is.
Let's do the energy system. There's 8 of them, right?
Oh, okay.
So what are the first? Let's do that.
The small force, the large force. The small force being the force between. Let me see. It's between molecules. And the first two kind of, I used to have that down, but the third one is gravity, the fourth one is electricity, the fifth one is magnetic energy.
Wait, I'm writing this.
I'm sorry. You can look up the first 4 forces. You can look up the first 4. The first force is the small force. The second force is the large force, and the one of them is the attraction between molecules, and the energy that keeps molecules together, and the energy that keeps electrons attached to the molecule. It's a quantum physics. The first and second forces. The third force is gravity.
The fourth is electricity.
They also say it's electromagnetism, which means magnetic energy created by electricity. So they associate electricity and electromagnetism as being the fourth force. The fifth force is magnetic energy all by itself, separate from electricity. Which you can do. It's pretty easy to do that. You can put magnetic energy into a superconducting circuit, and it'll keep running around as magnetic energy, and it's not associated with electricity, completely separate from electricity. And also, permanent magnets are the fifth force. They're not. There's no electricity in a permanent magnet. Anyway, so they exhibit the fifth force, pure magnetic energy, separate from electricity. Then the sixth force is, and that got termed by Boyd Bushman, and he calls it anti-gravity, but it does many more things. It also allows for cloaking, true cloaking, and transporters. Transporters are the sixth force. The sixth force allows transportation, transporters. Star Trek transporters.
Right.
The seventh force they call the replicator force because it allows you to transmute matter into energy, and then to change it from that energy, which is the seventh force energy, back into matter. So you can change matter. In other words, E equals mc squared goes the other way, meaning
it's a modem.
Yeah, energy can go into matter. Matter can go into energy. You take the formula and reverse it, and that's what you do with the seventh force. Lockheed Martin actually demonstrated the seventh force for Tom DeLonge. Remember when he sat there and he said, okay. They showed me this wafer, and they put a penny on it, and it disappeared right in front of me? That really happened. They really did demonstrate the seventh force to him, just to wow him. But that poor guy, he has no physics capability, didn't have any clue as to what was going on. They didn't even explain to him what they were doing. But replicators, the replicators you see in Star Trek, that is the seventh force. They're using the seventh force. Seventh force is also used to achieve warp 9.8. You can't really get to 10. Everything dissolves at 10. The seventh force is also used to operate the portals that the ancient builders put on all the inhabitable planets. They put out the portals. They're called stargates. Those are real.
Right.
Okay. The seventh force, the combination of 6 and 7 force that operates that. The eighth force is the very highest force in the universe, and that allows you to travel around without portals. You can travel through space, you can travel through time, and you can travel from parallel universe to parallel universe inside of an eighth form sphere. You can do anything in eighth force sphere. Nothing penetrates an eighth force sphere. Nothing can defeat it. Oh my! Eighth force is the most.
What are you saying? An eighth
force? The eighth force. It's an energy form. It's an energy form. It's an energy form, very much like electricity is an energy form, and magnetic energy is an energy form. It's an energy form, but it's the highest energy form. And what you can do with it is
unbelievable. So is that what we're photographing when we have those little spheres everywhere?
The spheres are the spheres themselves are the eighth force, and there's an entity or a soul that's traveling inside of it. See, once you've ascended to pure spirit, then you can get inside of an eighth force sphere and travel around in it. But of course you have to have the ability. You have to have the ability to make an eighth force sphere. Not so easy.
So when you're a spirit, pure spirit, you can create your own eighth force energy field.
No, nobody can do that. No, it's actually something that's a highly you have to be. It is a technology to be able to create an eighth force sphere, to be able to create.
But how do you get inside it?
To create an eighth force sphere, it's a technological advancement.
Oh, it's technology.
Yes.
Because people are taking those pictures and they get the little
like
spheres,
like a camera is a technological advancement, or a car is a technological advancement. The eighth force.
Right. But when they take these pictures and you blow them up, you can see little people in them. You can see people in them. Have you ever done that? Okay. Anyway, let's go on.
No, I don't.
I've seen pictures. No, when they blow them up, and it's like, oh, look, there's faces in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
This is very much like what Carolyn Corey says about there's a geometry that is the geometry of everything, and that there's a singularity within any collection which is connected to all the singularities everywhere and every when. And it just sounds like sort of the structure of the simulation that we are in, the energy that we are imagining in this picture that we're giving ourselves of what the universe is. But all the holes are connected. All the portals are connected with all the others.
Yes, that's correct. They're all connected, which is they call them wormholes. They're all connected, but the wormholes are connected from planet to sun, from sun to sun.
From planet to sun, sun to sun. Okay.
And so then, basically, the ancients who built the portals, the first portals, we've actually learned, the United States has learned how to do it artificially. But the first portals that were built by the ancients learned how to use these existing connections that you just mentioned, Sasha. They learned how to access them, and they learned how to take a human body and to transport it along those threads. And that's what the portals do. But the portals use the 6th and 7th forces to do that. It's the 7th force and the 6th force together in a certain machine, the portals, which is a spear, and you walk into it, and you fire up the 6th and 7th forces. And by the way, Marilyn Houston was the one that figured out how they worked. She's now the president, CEO, and chairman of the board of Lockheed Martin. She discovered lots of things, the portals being one of them. How they
Did
work.
you walk through one? Did you actually walk yourself through? What was it like?
Yeah, we went through the portals. We went through the portals, but we were mostly on ship. You can't take any weapons through the portals, and that's the problem. See, if you go through the portal and you have a hostile group on the other side, you're in trouble because you're going there not naked, but you can't go there with anything else but like pure materials like cotton with no zippers and no plastics or anything. Because that all disappears in the portal. You go through the portals, and it all disappears except for what you're wearing, which is some cotton. We wore cotton. We wore a cotton uniform, all cotton or silk.
What happened in the Philadelphia?
The weapons just disappear. They don't appear with you on the other end when you come out the other gate or the other portal on the other planet. They just. That's why the only way you can take weapons from one place to another or any machinery is you have to transport it in a machine, but a ship. But we have ships that have temporal drive now, meaning we can open up our own wormholes and travel through time, long distances through the galaxy. Temporal drive. That's what Bob Lazar was trying to teach. Well, he was actually recruiting, but that's neither here nor there. He was at that. Those are very accurate mathematical explanations of precisely how temporal drive works. Now, you're not going to be able to build a temporal drive ship because it costs a lot of money. You don't have the kind of money to build a temporal drive ship. So Bob Lazar teaching people how temporal drive works is purely recruitment. It has no other purpose except recruitment. Come on, seriously?
So do they use money throughout the cosmos? I mean, what do you do when you're in space?
Yes, they have commodities, but it's more commodities, not actual money. You mean like what do they call like gold and stuff like that? No, it's a commodity. Don't know. It's whatever commodity. It's whatever commodity that we have in this solar system that they want in that solar system. They actually we're builders. They like us. We're builders. Like Randy said, they like we're the new builder race. They like us because we build stuff. We build good ships. We build good ships. They give us the specs. We build their ships for them. We're good at building.
Also, we have imaginations. Apparently, they like.
We're great inventors. We've come a long way in a very short period of time, but that was because we were genetically engineered to be slaves. And one of the aspects of making us slaves was to make us great engineers. They actually invited us with the ancient builder race. They invited us with. The people that genetically modified us, we're Gemos. We're all Gemos. All of us have been genetically modified, specifically to sell us off throughout the galaxy as slaves. But of course, that changed when we got a little too good for our britches, and then we said, no, we don't want to do that no more. But anyway, neither here nor there. The thing is, we were Gemoed with ancient builder race genes, specifically so we could be inventors and engineers.
So who GMO'd us?
The 60 races that controlled our solar system for many years, the Dracos were in charge of. You remember the 40 humanoids and 20 non-humanoids that we're now actually getting a seat on? Corey was telling you about that?
No, I haven't really listened to Corey.
They're called the Super Federation. The 60s, they ran 26 genetic engineering programs on us for 250,000 years. They've been messing with us for genetically engineering us just so that they could sell us off as slaves throughout the galaxy. Anyway, but that all ended recently when the Spear Beings showed up and put a barrier around our solar system and said, no, these guys are spacefaring. You can't do that anymore. You can't treat them like slaves anymore. And you also have to give them a seat on the council. So we're going to become we're supposed to be the 60. We're actually supposed to have a representative on the Super Federation now. I don't know who. It would be.
What year was that?
What?
What year did that happen?
This is all very recent. This happened. The Spear Beings put the Spear Beings put the barrier around our solar system, which nobody can get in and out of. Nobody. without their permission. It's an actual 8th force barrier. Can't be penetrated, can't come in, can't go out. The portals work only because they allow the portals to work, and only when only when they allow it to be opened or closed. So they have strict control. The spear beings have strict control over our solar system right now, which is why there is hope, Sasha. The spear beings showed up.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got a new marshal in town. There's spear beings.
Okay.
And they put up the.
Let's go into that.
Well, yeah, you were wondering why.
That was what, 2015 or 2016?
That was
like
December 5th, 2014.
December 5th, 2014.
Yeah. December 5th, 2014.
I'll have to look up that date because I had an appearance.
You know what was happening then? It was what was happening the day before. It's what was happening the day before. Marilyn Houston, Lockheed Martin, she made a major breakthrough in her development of the 8th Force, and they said, that's it. Well, they've been watching her ever since '89, ever since she started working heavily into developing the 8th Force. But when she made her major breakthrough on December 4th, 2014, that was it. They just said, "Nah, we gotta quarantine these guys. We can't let them out in the universe with the 8th Force. They're too primitive. Okay. They're too unspiritual. They're too spiritually backwards."
Right.
They even said, you guys don't live long enough. You guys don't live long enough to obtain spiritual qualities.
So what are we going to do about that, too? Because they've intentionally dummied us down and shortened our life expectancy.
Right,
our life expectancy
they intentionally
is
limited us down to 100 years so we wouldn't be able to develop our psionic powers.
Well, that's
so
bullshit.
We would be weak slaves.
Right.
Right.
So what's going to happen?
The spirit beings say you don't live long enough to develop your spiritual.
No, you don't.
Right, you don't.
Well, no. Partly the thing is we have another reality. We have a culture that lives longer than the individuals in it, and our collective intelligence goes on to our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So there is a part of us that is immortal in that sense, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, but we need the individual maturity.
But just how reverent were you towards your parents? I mean, or how revered did you think your parents were? Do you still revere your parents?
I certainly do.
Most people don't, Sasha. Most people don't.
Sasha's very evolved.
No, you know what I mean by revere your parents.
I do. I know exactly. I think that my father modeled a real human, compassionate human being by who he was, and by that I can. It's an Ishideva or a archetype, of a loving person.
Yeah. Well, just because the spear beings say that we're not very spiritually capable, I disagree. See, I don't agree with that view. That 100 years isn't long enough. I think 100 years is long enough. See, I'm telling you what they said. They said we put the barrier up because you guys are a little too primitive for handling that kind of power.
Daniel, you're so right.
If you have an 8th Force spear, nobody in the entire universe can touch you, but you can touch them.
And Daniel, you're right about the limitation. Within 100 years, if that's all you got, that makes you really go for it. It's the value of having a limited time in which to accomplish certain things.
Yeah, and of course we are going to, meaning you and I and Janet, we are going to bring up our species. We are going to very quickly, within the next 25 years, we will extend our lifetimes for all of our children and all of our grandchildren to 300 years very quickly with this new technology that's being released. Very quickly, we're going to extend our lives.
So how will that increase our longevity? Because we know that in the secret space program they're able to regenerate limbs and put back on heads and revive the dead.
And all that's going to get released in 25 years, and that's going to expand all of our lifetimes to 300 years. But
we've got.
But 100 is enough. I agree with you, Sasha. 100 is plenty.
No, it's not. I'm just beginning, and I've been exposed to these extreme. The Anunnaki lived to be 450,000 years plus that we know of. So it's even a lot longer than the 300 years.
Yeah.
You know, you can even say, what about just living right now instead of so many years in the future? I'm telling you that
it's okay, Janet, to want more years. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and we are going to have more years from this technology.
All right.
We are.
You know, I remember coming back, and I went in. I said, "Oh no!" And I remember when I had to train myself not to poop in my pants, and I went, "Oh, this again." So I have memories of coming back and coming into this form and going, "Oh no, not here again, not this again." So I really don't want to go back to diapers.
You want to ascend.
Diapers of old age.
You want to ascend. You don't want to continue to go through the cycle of birth and death. You don't want to be in the material form. You want to ascend. You want to be in pure spiritual form.
No, I like being in a physical form. I think it's interesting.
Me too.
And you get to do a lot of things that you can't do when you're just spiritual. I'm not ready.
I'm not ready for
all
ascension.
the above.
I'm not ready.
No, that's not attractive to me at all. But I am able, from my practice, my spiritual practice, and where I've been and what I've experienced, is I can go into that point of the sphere. I mean, I've had this. What you're describing is what I have experienced, where I'm non-corporeal, I'm going through space, and Toth, the Anunnaki Thoth, he described it as well in the Emerald Tablet. So I think that's part of our capability. So I may be Anunnaki if that's what's going on, but I have been able to travel the cosmos without anything, just me, my consciousness. Something was going on, but I could be crazy, but that's what I experienced, and so I've been looking for other people who's done that, right? So anyway,
you don't have to convince me, Janet. You're with the what we call the psionics group. Your part in the program, your stint in the program, you were with the people who developed psionic powers. Now, we did also, super soldiers did also, but not nearly to the level you guys did. Whoa. Anyway.
Yeah, so we'll learn more about that, and I don't even know everything about it. I'm just discovering all these things, but I remember things that I've experienced personally, and I'm looking for someone that has this nuts and bolts level of information.
That's Corey, but he doesn't talk to many people. Corey's was in the psionics program too.
Randy too.
Randy's a super soldier. Randy's a super soldier. We weren't in the psionics program. We were trained to kill. Okay. We were trained to kill. The only psionics powers we had was for that purpose. No, you guys did other things. No.
Go ahead, Sasha. What's your question?
On Babylon 5, the psionics guys took over. Remember Babylon?
Not every issue.
No. These guys took over.
Right. That's actually a good depiction of the psionics group that Janet was a part of. That's actually a pretty good rendition of that whole division in the U.S. military. Well, I don't know. I don't know if the psionics group took over the ICC. I'm pretty sure they didn't. But that's what Janet was a part of. She was one. She had a high psionics level. That's why she's remembering those things in that level. And for most other people are like, "Wow, Janet, that's really out there." But I know it's not, and I know it's real. And it is very much like the way they depict in Babylon 5, the unit that you're with, the group that you're with, Janet.
Okay. I don't know much about. We'll save that because I don't know how much. I don't want to go into that right now. I'm on the other level, but we'll talk about that in future shows. But let's see, where are we on my time? Okay, we have about another 25 minutes or something. Okay, so we were talking. We're still going on the structure of our. What's the structure of our planet? Who's in charge of the planet? And are you saying
you mean who makes up the ICC? It's pretty easy to learn the actual individuals who make up the ICC. It's every one of the board of directors of the major aeronautics corporations. Corey told you that already. It's really easy to identify them. Marilyn Hewson heads up a certain faction of the ICC. They have different factions. There is a Nazi faction, but they're not in power. They're not in control anymore. But Marilyn heads up. I don't know if she heads up the women's faction, but she heads up the liberal faction, I would say, meaning more toward geared towards the way we think, which is disclosure. She was really into disclosure. In fact, Boyd Bushman, towards the end of his years, as he got close to dying in 96, he went to Marilyn. He said, Marilyn, please let me tell the public, what's going on. And she said, okay. And she still keeps that tape up. She still keeps that YouTube up, even though she's gutted it. Even though she's gutted it in half, she still keeps that up because she promised Boyd she would do that. No, really, if you really want to, if you want to talk to what I would consider the most progressive of the ICC heads, you really should try to connect with Marilyn.
Okay, we'll try to talk to Marilyn.
But they're real people. Just the board of directors of Raytheon, board of directors of Northrop Grumman, board of directors of Hughes Aircraft, board of directors of Boeing. They're real people. You can pull down their bio.
Janet will see if she can get Marilyn and you on at the same time. That would be really good. You know what questions to ask.
Oh, I don't know if she'll ever respond to you, but if you reach out to her, she will listen. She may not call you back.
Okay. I'll do what I can.
But she was the one that gave Boyd Bushman permission to release the 6th Force.
Okay. Now, what about Bill Tompkins?
Don't know him. Tell me a little bit.
You don't know? Oh,
no, you're talking about the guy that did all the drawings.
William Tompkins, yes, he was the one that was able to do
Bill was actually a very small player. He's not a head. He was never in charge of anything. Bill's a small player, but they only let small players come out and talk to you. They don't let really big people talk to you. They only let small players.
I know. Well, he was sweet.
Bill's advantage was what they had Bill do. His assignment is that when they had him on board ship, they wanted him to be able. They wanted. A lot of times we would only get one look at someone else's ship, and Bill had this ability to render it to a drawing,
right?
In detail, and that's what they used him for. He was photographic memory because you weren't allowed to use cameras. They didn't allow you to use cameras. You couldn't shoot any cameras. So they take it amongst those societies where you weren't allowed to record anything. They take Bill.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a very low level position in the secret space program. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. So what else? What about who's ruling?
You're talking about what you meant, Bill Tompkins, right? We're talking about Bill Tompkins.
Yeah.
Right.
Bill Tompkins. Yes.
Very low level.
He might have been a low.
Who's ruling? What about the Queen and stuff like that?
Queen.
Yeah. Well,
Queen. No. It's not a monarchy. It's a socialist committee. It's a socialist group. 200 people rule the earth, and then they have it's exactly like Russia's. More like the Chinese Central Committee, and then they have seven members that are the ruling. What do they call that? The 7 top people, but they're not in charge. The 25 Central Committee is, and the committee that rules the ICC is made up of 200 people. It's a socialism. We're socialists. We've been socialists for a long time. Oops, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just getting this information. So what about all this hoopla we give to elections and presidents and all that stuff?
Oh, the big show? The big show?
Yeah, the big show. Yes, the big show.
Anybody that isn't in the secret space program has no power. They're just a lackey. They don't even show those people the technology.
Right.
Unless you have a clearance level above the president, you're nobody. And the president is a nobody because they don't show the president any of the technology. Look at the clearance levels above the president, secret clearance levels above the president. That's all real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all real.
There's now 33. There used to be 26. There's now 33 levels above the president.
Oh, my goodness.
Like everybody and their brother's got more clearance than the president.
Okay, so what's the good news? We want the good news.
Well, the good news is because they put the barrier around our solar system, and most of the assets, most of our military assets are on the other side of the barrier. And then the spear beings came in and basically put us onto the council, and they took control. They basically told the Federation, the Super Federation, well, you can't treat these people like slaves anymore. So basically the new marshal came in town and changed things. And they're saying now you have to disclose the technology. You can't keep these people, clueless anymore. And they are releasing the technology very slowly. Like I said, they started with the NASA's peer review of the M drive, which I'll go over in detail and explain in layman terms exactly how that works and why it doesn't violate the first and second laws of physics. And then I'll go over the different other technologies that are being released by the ICC, and then my own stuff, which is being released by the ICC. But that was all forced upon them by the spear beings. They're being forced to release the technology.
And being forced by the spear beings.
Yeah.
And what do they threat if they don't do it? What's the repercussion?
The threat is you can't leave the solar system.
Okay.
They don't even get to go out. They only allow some personnel to leave through the portals, or some ships to leave, and they have to have special permission. But nobody is allowed to leave the solar system that committed crimes against humanity, major crimes against humanity, or major crimes against any other species. So the slavers, they're not allowed to leave. And they've even told, and spear beings have even told all these people that there's going to be a trial, but they're not listening. They're not paying attention. That they're all going to be up for trial. They don't believe it. They'll find out. They basically have been told they better watch their P's and Q's, because basically they're being told that they need to start treating people fairly. They need to start releasing the technology. They need to bring up humanity. And if they don't do that, when they do go on trial, then there won't be any mitigating circumstances. When you get sentenced by the spear beings, you don't get sentenced for one lifetime. You get sentenced for all eternity.
Right. And these people have that awareness of how things really work. They're not dealing with it within the illusion like we have here within the.
Well, it's interesting because you could sit there and tell the spear beings, "Oh, well, I didn't do that," and then they just show you. They actually show you the holographic image of the recording of what you did, because they have it all recorded. Because remember, a race that can go through time and through space can go back and get that recording and bring it forward and show it to you.
Mm-hmm. Because everything still exists.
So there's nothing. And remember, like Ben Ritz said, we hear everything, we see everything. Well, they do. Well, if we do at our low level of technology, which is pretty advanced right now, and was when Ben Ritz said that, imagine what the spear beings can do. There's nothing. You can't hide anything from them. You can't deny anything crime that you committed.
Mm-hmm. They're Santa Claus. They know everything you're doing. Wow. So then you said it's going to take years for all this to come about.
Yeah, they of course the ICE doesn't want any of this to happen. They want it to happen very slowly. So they started out with releasing very limited technology, but it's not enough. And I've had people in the NSA. They're in the NSA. National Security Agency, and they're the ones that came to me and said, well, yeah, that's, you're right, Dan, that's not fast enough, and that's not good enough. 4-to-1 over unity isn't good enough. It needs to be in the tune of thousands over unity. Anyway, it doesn't mean anything. The idea is that the generators have to be more powerful, and they didn't want very powerful generators to be released, but the ones they are releasing don't bring down the cost of electricity to the point where it stops people from wanting to use fossil fuels to create electricity. The Chinese create electricity using coal generators at 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So unless you're far below that in whatever free energy generator you're making, unless you can produce far less than 5 cents a kilowatt hour, nobody's going to stop using fossil fuels to create electricity. Ain't going to happen. Mm-hmm. And that's what, and that was the mistake they made. The technology the ICT did release wouldn't reduce the cost below 5 cents a kilowatt hour. It actually brought it down to about 8 cents a kilowatt hour, 10 cents a kilowatt hour, but not below 5, not well below 5 cents a kilowatt hour. It has to be way down below 5 cents a kilowatt hour to get people to stop using gas and coal. Also, it can't be weak. Nobody's going to give up their gas engines unless they have a more powerful engine. Come on. Most people are materialistic.
Right. So this plan, and you're in this plan, and you're aware.
No. They don't like me. No.
They don't like
can't
you.
Stop me
No.
because I did 20 years service, and they can't stop me. Okay. See, I served 20 years as a super soldier with distinction, and they can't stop me.
Mm-hmm.
They can't come and do what they do.
So you're putting out your stuff, but why aren't they addressing this on a different level? If what they're putting out is not effective, that's not really helping us.
Well, they didn't think that was going to be the situation. They thought it would be sufficient, but it's not, and they're finding out it doesn't pencil. So now they're going back. They're willing to release. Also, you have the different factions in the ICC that really don't want to release any of the technology. So they're, what would you call it, Sasha? They're dragging their feet.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they don't want any of it released. So they're playing along by giving partial release, and it's not enough. They're not really happy with me. I'm rogue. I don't work for those guys. They don't like me at all. They don't like me at all. No. They try to buy me out. I said no. I pass.
Everybody's getting kickbacks along the line. Can't you? You can just read what's happening, and it comes down to you're going to subsidize Arabs because they can't suck oil and hold everybody hostage for their oil anymore. Who cares? There's got to be they don't get to poison everybody just because they got oil in their ground.
Right. But you're not going to stop people from using oil unless you have a cheaper
every day that could be saved, because we have 100,000 people a day that die from diseases, die from toxins, die from this environment that we've created. Where does that come into play? They don't give a shit that we die. They don't give a shit that we age.
No, the ICC didn't. But you're looking at everything the way it was before the outer barrier went up. You're looking at the ICC when they thought they could get away with anything. You're not seeing what happened is that all those people in the ICC, they're trapped here. They were going to burn this planet. They were going to burn this planet because they have somewhere else to go, but they can't go there now because they're trapped here. They're in the quarantine.
Okay, so they've got to back it off. How does this affect them? Are they human?
No, they're here. In other words, they can't destroy this planet anymore because they're here. They can't leave.
They can still have us die. Where do we go to die? We're dying.
No.
My likelihood, I'm going to be 65.
No, the spirit beings are going to put them up for trial. They have to mitigate their crimes by not doing that to us. They can't commit genocide anymore because they have to mitigate their crimes because the spirit beings told them, when we convict you, it's for eternity. Life after life after life after life.
All right.
Now you think about that.
When is
you're in the ICC. You're in the ICC, and the marshal shows up and says, "If I hang you, it's not just this lifetime. It's every lifetime. It's Dante's hell." So you're in the ICC, and you know this is real. You know these people can do that. Are you going to continue to commit genocide? Are you going to continue on?
They apparently are, because you said they're not willing to let go.
They're not. The technology is being released. That's why I'm able to talk to you. That's why I'm at this thing.
I've got friends that they die every day of cancer. When's that level?
It's going to be a while. The transition doesn't happen overnight, Janet.
Okay, so what about those people that are dead? Where are they?
Your soul's eternal. You just go to some other material place, another planet.
Okay.
You are immortal. You just get transferred from one material form to the next, one material body to the next. You know that, right?
I know that. that.
You're just checking up on me.
I'm still tracking the pain that's caused by this illusion of separation, that we are mortal, that we have to bury people, and people are born and die. So when is that level of awareness going to be coming out to our people?
Ask the question again.
Right now, we're still in this reality,
again.
these beliefs. Right now, we're still in this belief system, this reality that we die, and that we are no longer in contact with the people that we love. If are we in another dimension? Or when is the veil coming down?
When will you become spiritually advanced? Spiritual advancement takes many lifetimes. You're lucky to complete it in one lifetime. You're lucky to complete it in one lifetime, and it's different for everybody, Janet. Just because you're spiritually advanced.
No, I'm not asking that. I'm saying, when will the veil come down? The illusion that we do, that we can no longer communicate. There's supposed to be. It's even biblical that at the end, we will be able to communicate across the veil and be able to talk to people on both sides of the veil.
You're talking about a high level of spiritual advancement that may take many lifetimes to achieve.
Okay. So what about when they revive the dead? They have people that are dead in the secret space program, and they bring it back. Okay, you're not going to... Go ahead. We have 6 more minutes. Go ahead.
Sasha, what do you want?
I would suggest that you right now can communicate with a wisdom figure among your ancestors right now, that you can let yourself go into a deep state and you haven't lost contact.
Yes, Sasha, it's possible for certain people, but not everybody out of the 7 billion people has the ability to do that, even if they wanted to. It takes training, it takes study, it takes practice, and very few attain that level. You can want people to all be that highly spiritual advanced, but that's not reality.
What I'm referring to is that in the 20 and back program, the secret space program, we have all these people, and they're saying, I was dead, and they just put me in a regen tank, and I wake up, and it could be a couple hours later, and I'm alive again. But I was dead as can be. When is that coming forth to this human level society that already exists in the secret space program?
Oh, no. You mean the highest level of technology? They're not going to release that for some time. They're not going to release anywhere near the higher levels. The plan was not for at least another 100 years. There is a discussion for 50, but it's looking, they want to see how people do with the lower level of technology, this free energy level. They want to see how people do with the basic higher levels of technology before they start releasing that stuff. You're talking about like the Greys. The Greys were into that, having their spirits put into a new body and then living for 1,000 different bodies with the same spirit, and they have all the memories. I mean, lots of different races have tried that, and many of them didn't do very well with it.
Well, the people we're talking about in the secret space program, like Penny Bradley, she says, death is not an option. They get killed, they get eaten by a spider, whatever. They take what's left of them and they put them in the regen tank, and they're dead.
I know that technology
they're alive again.
That technology is not going to be released for 100 years.
Okay.
They are definitely not going to let. They are so not going to let that out for a long time.
Okay.
I know what's going to be. I know what's going to be. I know what's going to be released and when it's going to be released. I'm telling you what's being released. I'm showing you what's being released.
Right.
I didn't do it. I'm not making the decisions. I'm not in charge. I was a soldier, just a what do you call it? A grunt. They gave me orders. I followed it. I'm not in charge. I was never in charge.
Okay. We have 3 more minutes. What do you want to convey to our listeners?
You want me to talk?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we have 3 more minutes.
So the idea is, we want the technology released. Right now, I'm filing patents and I'm trying to sell those patents to get the free energy generators manufactured. And then the idea is to keep the people informed as to what we really want to do is we want the people to learn more about the reality of the physics. We want them to understand it's real. It's not science fiction, that free energy is very real and that they can understand it. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's the only reason I'm appearing publicly is to teach the basic physics at the layperson's level, not very advanced mathematically or very advanced in physics, very simplest ways of explaining how these things work so that they can understand that these free energy devices are real. Because the more people that become aware that free energy is very real, they can bring about the transition in these technologies being disclosed. And of course, once they realize that this technology is real, then they'll understand that the rest is real, meaning the aliens and the secret space program is very real. It's not a fiction anymore. And then they'll, once the technology is released throughout society more and more, then you'll start getting more and more disclosure. The NSA actually showed me one of the films that they were going to actually show you guys. They wanted me to review one of the films. And what it is they took all these films of these different alien encounters. They actually did interviews with all these aliens on their ships. Mm-hmm. And the film they showed me was one of the black and whites they took in the 60s. They did an interview. They had this 16 millimeter camera and black and white, and they were shooting one of the aliens. I don't forget what's the species of the alien with the elephant head. I don't know the name of that.
Ganesh.
Elephant head.
Ganesh.
Well, Ganesh?
No, it's a Ganesh. Yeah, it's Ganesh being. Ganesh is actually the name of the. Never mind. It's a Ganesh being, and so the Ganesh species, and so he was in his ship, and they showed me this film. I mean, I can even describe the very details of this film. They showed him in the ship, and they were interviewing him. And they have all these. This is the real disclosure. When they're really going to start the disclosure, they have all these films that they took in the 60s and 70s, 80s, of all these interviews they have with these different aliens in their ships. And they take you for a ride. Wow. They show you the views, and they show you he discusses his his instrument panel and the different functions of his instruments. And it was very interesting. And then of course, that's one of the things we'll be talking about is that particular film that I saw, because
wow,
yeah, it's pretty trippy. So I know what disclosure, I know what they're planning on doing, and of course I'm experiencing it myself by participating in the disclosure of the technology. I'm actually forcing the disclosure of the technology faster than they wanted to bring it out themselves, because I'm rogue. They don't have control over it.
Right.
All right.
Okay, well that's great. So
listen to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
Do you have any way that we can contact your website?
No, I don't do a website.
No, okay.
When you're inventing, you're sitting down and you're doing 10 years.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at higher risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver Eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.